I promised you guys that I would get this out to you. I said I would do it yesterday, didn't get time to. So here we are. The Leafs draft review, kind of recap. The 2018 NHL entry draft for the Toronto Maple Leafs has come and gone. And things happened, and a lot of people questioning some of the moves that Kyle Dubas made. But myself, I enjoy most of them. Guys, what were we preaching coming into this draft? We need defense, and we're kind of short on centers. Through the first 5 rounds, where the Leafs had 6 picks, they drafted 4 defensemen, 2 centers. Exactly what we wanted. The rest were, a winger, 2 different wingers, left and right winger, and a goaltender in the later rounds. You never hear me complain about that. And the Leafs initially had the first round 25th overall selection. They get to the pick. The Leafs have made a trade. They trade the 25th pick. They drop down to the 29th pick. And they acquire the 76th overall, which is the 3rd round pick from the St. Louis Blues. And a lot of people saying, oh, well, now you're going to lose out on Joe Veleno. What the heck's wrong with you? Well, you still have a possibility at 29. We get to 29 and he's still available. And a lot of Leaf fans are like, come on, select him. No. The Leafs select Rasmus Sandin. Look, this kid is something I really, really like. And I love the way they drafted this guy. First round, 29th overall. He's a 5'11 defenseman, left shot. That's the only thing I'm a little bit iffy about. But overall, I love what we got out of him. 18 years old, just turned 18 in March, which tells me that at the start of next year, he'll still be 18. He still has 2 more years of eligibility for Junior A. And for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, guys, remember, to start the league, he played in Roble of the Swedish Hockey League. That's where Timothy Liljegren played before he came over to Toronto to play with the Marlies. He only played 5 games, had 1 assist, really didn't have much going there. So what does he do? He signs with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds of the OHL. And man, did he succeed. In 51 games, 12 goals, 33 assists for 45 points. Remember, he's a defenseman. And a plus 35 as well. And in the playoffs, 13 points in 24 games. Very good from him. So, what I've loved from Sandin, and what I love about with Kyle Dubas and the Leafs, I guess, drafting staff, what they did is they looked not only for skill, but high hockey IQ, as in they're smart players. Sandin is a very good player. He's a great skater, got a good shot. But he's very smart on the ice. Reminds me a little bit of Travis Dermott. That's why we love Dermott so much. He pinches, he makes them offensive plays, but when he needs to be defensive, he is. And that's why we love him. Rasmus Sandin, I think, is the same type of thing. Really great-looking player. I think he'll go back to junior this season, but it's a great selection in my eyes. A lot of people saying, well, you lost out on Joe Veleno. What the hell is wrong with you, Kyle Dubas? Look, guys. Just because the name Joe Veleno was out there doesn't mean anything. Good player? Oh, yeah. I'm not going to deny that he's a great player, and I was kind of rooting for taking him. I wanted him at that point. At 29, when I'm seeing Joe Veleno still there, I'm like, Kyle, take him. But you see what we have now of Rasmus Sandin, a guy who was supposed to go 20th, maybe a little bit before 20th, and we get him at 29. He fell far, and the Leafs were able to snag him. That's very good on the Leafs' part. 2nd round pick, Sean Durzi. All right? He's a right-handed defenseman. Very nice. I love that from the Owen Sound Attack. And, his story, he's already 19, so he's a little bit of an older guy, kind of an overager for the Owen Sound Attack, but he'll probably be going back there for his overage year. But this season, I mean, he's progressed nicely, and that's the thing I like about what I've seen from Sean Durzi, is that in his first season with them, he had 16 points in 45 games. Season 2, in 60 games, he played 15 more. He had 38 points, a very good year. This season, he only played 40 games. All right, so less than his rookie year. But he got 49. He was over a point per game with 15 goals. And then you go to the playoffs, 16 points in 11 games. Now, yes, he's a little bit older, so that's something you got to look at. He is a Mississauga-born native, if you want to look at that. I like this selection. He's a right-handed defenseman. He looks like he's matured a little bit. He's already 6 foot at 195 pounds. He's a little bit of a bigger guy. That's good to see. And what I mean by bigger guy is not 6'5", 220. That's not what I mean. He's stocky. 6 foot at 195 is a decent size. It means he's built pretty good. He's a solid player. And that's what the new NHL is, guys. We're not looking, the Zdeno Charas of the league, the Tyler Myers, like all those big guys. They're not really around anymore. Now, they are, obviously, but what the new day and age is, it's fast and smart. And with Rasmus Sandin, that's what you get there. With Dursey, same thing. Smart, right-handed defenseman. So your first 2 rounds, everyone's preaching about defensemen. You drafted 2 defensemen in the first 2. It's exactly what you want to see. And now, with the 3rd round selection, the Leafs, that's the one they acquired from St. Louis in that trade to, I guess, move down 4 spots. They draft Semyon Der-Arguchintsev. I had to look that name up and practice it many times before I just said it. The reason I am so pumped about this guy, a few reasons. Number 1, he's a small guy, 5'10" at 159 pounds. He's a very small guy, but he can grow. He can become a stocky guy. Second thing, he is 17 years of age, the youngest guy in the draft. The Leafs pick him up in the 3rd round, and he's a center, of course. And he's a right-handed shot. Mike Babcock loves his right-handed centers. He'll turn 18, I think it's in September. Yeah, September birthday, so by the time the season starts, he will be 18. But if you look at his 2 years with the Peterborough Petes, he fared pretty well. Rookie year, 63 games, 29 points. Not too bad. 8 goals, 21 assists. Not too bad. And then in the playoffs, 8 points in 12 games. He was pretty good in the playoffs for them. And then this past season, again, remember, he's still 17. 68 games played, 12 goals, 39 assists. For 51 points in 68 games as a 17-year-old. That tells me right there the Leafs got something special here. Yes, he's small, but he's quick. He's got nice hands. He's a center. He's putting up the points, and he's 17. That's what you got to look at more or less for that pick. And that guy, thank you, St. Louis, for letting us draft him. That's basically what happened there. With the 83rd overall selection, which is our 3rd round pick, the Leafs draft center Riley Stotts. Now, from here on out, I'm kind of hit or miss with the players we got. Another center, obviously. But you look at his numbers, he's 18 years old. He'll be 19 mid-season next year. He played 2 years with the Swift Current Broncos. And this is the part I'm a little nervous about. 16 points in 52 games. Remember, he's a center. 22 games 2 years ago, so he didn't play much, but he only had 3 points in those years. He really didn't do all that well. Nothing really in the playoffs in 2016, 2017 for the Swift Current Broncos. But this year, right, he only played he didn't get injured. 22 games with the Swift Current Broncos. Then he gets traded to the Calgary Hitmen. And in 47 games, 41 points. So it's that late kind of mid-season, or I guess it's a little bit before mid-season, transition to a new team, and he tears it up. Now, I don't know if that's because they were just a really good team, and they just gelled, and they had a lot of skills, so it just racked up his point numbers. I don't know. But seeing those 2 point totals in 2016, 2017, and 2017 and 2018 with the Swift Current Broncos that are really, really low, undrafted numbers, my goodness, I don't think you'd be drafted with numbers like that. But then, you put up a second half like that, and it jumps him into the 3rd round. Now, I don't know if he'll ever become anything. If he can continue to progress with the Calgary Hitmen and put up totals like that next year, maybe even a little bit better, then hey, maybe. But I don't know. It's kind of hit or miss with me right now. Next guy, Mac Hollowell, a defenseman he's from Niagara Falls, and he plays for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Obviously, Kyle Dubas being a former GM there, so it kind of makes sense he's got the connections. Problem with this guy, he's already 19. He will be 20 before the season begins. So I think he'll be an overage player in the OHL. He's played 4 years with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Now, if you're looking at it, he's constantly progressed. And he had a big year this season. He only had 6 points in 11 games in his first season. Again, that's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. Second year, 2015-2016, 21 points in 58 games. A couple years ago, 23 points in 63 games, so he's progressively getting better. And this past season, in 63 games, 56 points. Now, you could say that is because that team was so good, but it's hard to say. It really is. He also had 12 goals, 44 assists on that team that year, and also 16 points in 24 games in the playoffs. But again, kind of like the situation of Riley Stutz. Really didn't have any big years, any crazy, you're drafted, fairly well type of year, right? Yes, this season was great. He had a terrific season, but so did the whole team. So you're kind of there sitting, okay, well, is that actually how he does? Well, I don't know. He's only 5'9" as well, not a big guy. So I don't know what to expect out of him. Those are the kind of two picks where I'm like, okay, they had one good year and one terrible year. I don't know how to feel about it. Philip Kral is our 5th round pick. Defenseman once again. Our biggest guy in the draft, our tallest guy in the draft, 6'1". He plays in the Czech League for a couple years. Doesn't really do much though. He only plays 23 games in his first year, gets 2 assists, that's it. Then he plays 4 games the year after, which is obviously this past season, and doesn't get anything. But then that same year, he goes over to Spokane, plays for the Chiefs, and in the WHL, he hits, 35 points in 54 games. Remember, this guy's a, 5th round pick. He's not a top-notch guy. 9 goals, 26 assists. He was a +9, didn't get anything in the playoffs. Again, it's kind of hit or miss. He's played 1 game in the CHL. The minimum amount of time he spent in the Czech League, he really didn't do a whole lot. So I don't really know how to feel about that pick either. Pontus Holmberg was our 6th round pick. Again, if you're looking at Hockey DB page, me and Evan talked about it on the podcast. Links in the description, by the way, for the podcast and the podcast channel and all that stuff. On Hockey DB, you don't see a whole lot of stats. EliteProspects.com is where you want to look for that kind of stuff. But he played in the Swedish Hockey League, played 2 games, didn't get anything. So I don't really know how to feel about Pontus Holmberg. What I do know is he's already 19, and by about trade deadline next year, he will be 20. So I don't really know how to think about that. He's also a left winger. The Leafs wingers are all crowded to all heck anyways. The Leafs had 2 7th round picks. Zachary Boulithier. Boulithier. I don't know how do you pronounce it, guys. I apologize. He's 18 years of age. Plays for the Chicoutimi in the QMJHL. Numbers aren't the greatest, but the only thing I look at when it comes to him as a positive, or I think the only reason why he was drafted is because of his playoff stats. He didn't really have 2 good regular seasons in 2016, 2017, and 2017, 2018. They weren't any good statistically. His playoffs, however, for this past season, the goals against is a bit high at 2.76, but the save percentage of .931 is something I really like to look at. Now, again, goalies are hit or miss. You draft them in the late rounds. They could be something and could not be something. Look at Garrett Sparks, 7th round pick. He's an unbelievable AHL goalie. Will he ever be an NHLer? I don't know. Maybe the Leafs will give him a shot. Maybe they trade him to a team that'll give him a shot. And then we'll find out. But he's a 7th round pick. That's what I'm trying to get at here. This guy, Zachary Boulithier, he's a 7th round pick. So there you go. Semyon Kizumov. He was another 7th round pick by the Leafs. Again, I have nothing on him. Hockey DB's got nothing on him. He's 18 years of age. He'll turn 19 January 19th. He's 6 foot 176. That's all I got. Again, he's a 7th round pick. Nothing you really can say about that. But overall, guys, if I have to give, and I gave it on the podcast, if I had to give this draft a rating out of, A, B, C, D kind of thing, I'd say it was a B+ draft for the Leafs. Just because they addressed some needs, and that's the back end. They needed some things to clean up. You got 4 defensemen out of your top 6 draft picks. What else do you need? Centers. You got 2 of them. Are they reliable too? We're going to have to find out. That's what the draft's all about. Draft and see what can happen. And then the later rounds, you got a goalie, you got a couple wingers. You always got to stock up on some things, right? Every season you have to do that. You can't just draft defensemen or just draft centers one year because then it's kind of a waste of time. You have to sprinkle in some variety. And they do that. So I'd give it a B+ just because I know what we got. Rasmus Sandin looks like a great young player. Sean Durzi, I really like the looks of him. Der-Arguchintsev, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's a great-looking player. He's 17 as well. That's obviously very appetizing. Riley Stutz and Mac Hollowell, again, not sure how I feel about them. And everybody else down below, I don't know anything about. So you look at this and it's kind of like, okay, the top 3 picks are kind of appetizing. Everything after that is kind of like, well, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see how they turn out, right? That's really what we're going to be sitting here and thinking about for the next little while. But overall, B+ rating from me. What's your rating? What would you give the Leafs and Kyle Dubas from this rating? I know Joe Veleno, guys, all right? I know. But hey, you got a good defenseman instead. And that's what we've all been preaching about that, and Dubas knows what this team needs, and that is defense, defense, defense. And you got 4 out of your first 6 picks, defense. So there you go, guys, all right? So you know what, guys? That is going to do it for this one. You guys enjoyed this video, and you guys enjoyed the draft on Friday and Saturday. Hit that like button. I do appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button if you guys have not already. Comment down below, guys. What'd you think of the draft? Who are you most excited for? If you have any knowledge or any idea of who, Riley Sutz, Mac Hollowell, Philip Kral, Pontus Holmberg, Zachary Boulothier, Semyon Kizimov, if you have any idea who those guys are, and if you've watched them play, or if you know anything about them that I should know, please fire it in the comments so I can learn about these guys a little bit more. And that's just all that. And I want to hear what your guys' rating is on the Leafs draft. What would you give them? And don't base it on Joe Veleno not being there and not taking him. Base it on who we have. How do you feel about that? All right, so I'll talk to you guys next Tuesday podcast edition. Link is in the description, guys, for the podcast channel and for the podcast itself on iTunes. Today's podcast, I uploaded it, about an hour ago? Half an hour ago. So go check that out down below, guys. And I'll talk to you guys Blue Jays edition tonight. Ryan Borucki on the mound for the Jays as they look to win the series against the Houston Astros in Borucki's first major league start. I am so pumped to watch that kid pitch. All right, so I know you guys are too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys then.